Future Now Show. Brought to you by the Club of Amsterdam.
Hey Futurists, welcome back to the Future Now Show brought to you by the Club of Amsterdam. We have a great show for you today. Joining me is Peter Luiks, CEO of Perlu Investment Banking and advisory board member of the Club of Amsterdam. Hi Peter, welcome to the show.
Hi Katie, thank you very much for having me.
Yes, it's my pleasure. So what are your thoughts on today's global economic situation?
Well, why not? Just open the door. Hey? The global economic situation is as artificial can be. We're right in front of a doomsday scenario. We just do not know when it's going to hit us. That is more or less, in a nutshell, the whole global situation. Anybody else telling you something different is just absolutely knick-knacks crazy. Yeah, I mean, the dollar is shaky, the euro is shaky. We have trade wars going on all over the world, and if they're not yet going on, we are currently inventing them. Then we have the online currencies like the Bitcoin and what have you, which are not standardized. So it's just baked hot air. Yeah, until finally a standard is going to be set, and there is going to be set. One of these is going to be, whether it's the Bitcoin or one of those others, is going to be the industry standard, but there is going to be an online currency, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, the world is all about changes, and the changes will never stop, so why would it just stop here? But it doesn't look good. Anybody tells you it looks good? No.
Right. Now, what is globalism, and how is it affecting the global economy?
I think globalism, like we used to know it about 10 years ago, was absolutely overdone. It was full of expectations like, hey, everything is going to be finer and nicer. We're going to have NAFTA. We're going to have a common Europe, European unity. We have an ASEAN region in Asia, and what have you. And what do we see? It's all breaking down. NAFTA is falling apart. Trump is building a wall between Mexico and the U.S. In the U.S., we have a nation never been so divided as currently is. And the same goes for Europe. We have Brexit, and Brexit will not stay the only country. There will be others following. So, we have also the conflicts in the Far East. China claiming more or less the entire China Sea, building bases there, which is raising tension, trying to cut out the line of Singapore, by planning channels through Malaysia and Thailand. I don't know where we're going, but are we in an age of globalism? Yes, in terms of communication, yeah, you cannot pardon Malaysia without knowing it in New York without a second later. But that's all. Yeah, the rest it's floating.
Right. Now, do you think that we will see the end of capitalism in our lifetime?
No, never. Never. There's always going to be guys that pull the strings.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Yeah, and I mean, even Russia, let's face it, surrendered to capitalism. Yeah, Russia in many aspects today is more capitalistic than the United States is.
Right, and you even see all the stories about the black market trades in North Korea, even in the same. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So in a previous interview, you said that the 20th century belongs to America and the 21st century belongs to China. So how will the rise of China impact the West?
No, it is a very famous countryman of yours, that is Jim Rogers, who left New York with his two daughters, about 8 years ago. And he said the 19th century was the century of Great Britain and the empire around the world. The 20th century was the empire of the United States. And the 21st empire or age is the empire of the ASEAN regions, which means China, focal point, but economic tigers around it, Singapore, South Korea, and what have you all. And that's, he said, the reason that I moved to Singapore and put my two children in an international school there where they have English as well as Mandarin to prepare them for the future.
It's smart. Do you feel that we're going to see a rising trend of people from the West migrating to the East because of these circumstances?
If you have the chance and you have the money, I see them by the bushes. I see people even giving up their passports and changing passports, you know, like underwear. It is known that, for instance, if you have an American passport, then you owe wherever you go, even if you live in a zone where there is zero tax, like Dubai, you know, you still owe your taxes to the IRS. And in the grapevine, the international lawyers are hearing already movements like every tier A passport, and that is New Zealand, Australia, the European Union, Canada, yeah, and a couple of others, are going to go more or less the same way in a couple of years. So what do the riches do? They move and they denounce the passport and take a top tier B passport, like one of the Caribbean passports, you know, that gives them access to almost everything, and the rest they can always cover up with economic visas to be in the United States or whatever country they want to go to.
And what will life be like for those who are left behind and can't afford to, let's say, move to Kuala Lumpur or Singapore? What will it be like for those who are in America and don't have that type of option? Will there be a huge gap, a widening gap between the remaining wealthy and the, let's say, non-existent middle class?
American dream is dead. Yeah. If you want to have a husband and wife, two kids in the United States, you have to at least make $150,000 a year. Otherwise, you cannot live on the cost of everything put together, which is the house, you know, the goods, yeah, the groceries, yeah. Even the price of bananas raised 400% in the last 4 years. It cannot go on like this. It becomes unlivable.
Crazy.
Then you have a nation so divided. You have the Hillary camp, yeah, to give it a picture, and you have the Trump camp, and it doesn't find each other, it's clashing. But you find the same in Europe. I mean, Europe is pumped full with migrants. Now, whether it's migrants from Syria, those poor bastards, yes, they can find a house. But it's sub-Saharan Africa, which is for the 75% of the migrants counting, you know, coming into Europe. And, you know, they have an IQ less 70. Yeah, and the only one to do is, you know, be here and think that everything is a free lunch. Yeah, they don't want to work, and we don't have work for them. We don't have houses for them. We don't have places to stay. And there is nothing.
Crazy.
So, okay, that's part of the equation. The other part of is it going to be the same? No, change is the only constant. But what we have? Will we have an uprise like, you know, this week in England where they picked up Tommy Robinson, yeah, and smashed him in jail because, you know, what is he actually done? He's coming up for the white Christian Anglo-Saxon, yeah, and that's not allowed anymore. When is this starting in the United States? I mean, it's a gunpowder barrel, yeah, with a fuse in it, and the fuse is burning. And if somebody doesn't pull that fuse out, you know, something is going to happen.
Right. Now, with the rise of fintech and emerging technologies like blockchain, ICOs, cryptocurrencies, do you believe that any of these might hold the key to a better future, that the masses might be able to use some of these technologies to?
No. I mean, unless the standard is set, as I said before, I mean, you're already too late. If you today want to step into a Bitcoin, do you know what the price of a Bitcoin is already? You're talking $20,000, $25,000. Yeah, is that for middle class? No. I mean, I've got young kids around me that, you know, made fortunes, yeah, by being early adapters. Yeah, they traded online. And, they were smart and hold back and be careful. And they really, and they made a couple of 100,000. And they're now coming to me and says, Pete, I've got this money. I said, well, what do you want to do with it? I want to make it grow. But is this for everybody? No. Many people also lost an awful lot of money on these cryptocurrencies.
It's true. A lot of scams, a lot of issues. Been seeing a lot of that. Now, lastly, what do you believe would be the ideal outcome for the global economic situation in the future? Do you think that, is there a right way to get through this to make things better?
No, because it's like a bubbling pot. You have Israel now in contact with Iran, which is in the southern part of Syria. You have Russia that's boiling in its own way. You have the United States boiling in its own way. You have Europe with the Brexit. The England is boiling. This will not stay without consequences, what they've done to Tommy Roberts. You have France that's overrun, and has its problem. I can go on. Country by country by country has its own unique problems. And, it's chaos everywhere. And is there one solution that covers all? No, there is not. There is nothing. There is isolated areas like, South America. They are still so but also in a bubbling pot that, we don't even talk about it. Try to find it out and knock on the door when you're ready. And, South Africa is on the edge of a new civil war. Because, the white farmers get killed, by the bushes, by the blacks, and they're not going to take it anymore. Apartheid will be coming back if this goes on.
Crazy.
It's crazy. It is so difficult. It is so complex that, it can go wrong, terribly wrong any minute. And not only economically, but, catastrophically.
Absolutely. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share before we go?
No, I mean, it changed a lot. It changed a lot. And, what is striking me is the uncontrol that we're having. We think we have control. No, we have total uncontrol. And what I'm amazed about is that the leadership is just, I would like to know the agenda of the leadership. We can go George Soros, and all these theories and conspiracy theories, but what is going on? Like, for instance, in England, what are you doing? The majority of the real English people is running out of the cities. They live in the countryside. But they are angry. They are so bloody angry, and it's the same in the United States. There is people in the smaller countries and in the countryside that are so angry, so terribly angry. And then look at the millennials. That's a problem by itself. And social justice warriors are burning themselves. It's just like, they've eaten kind of food that makes them explode inside. But the world is totally on one big unhappy place.
There are a lot of challenges ahead, indeed.
You bet. And I think you have to tackle them one at a time. You can't say there is a genetic problem in this world.
Correct. Yeah. One at a time, one day at a time. It's all we could do.
It's all we can do. And we have to wait, because I'm not in control. You're not in control. Whoever is in control, because the nations are not even in control.
Nope. Well, here's to a better future, hopefully, if we could put our minds to it. And the first step is having it in our minds and thinking about it and sharing the truth and information with all. So absolutely. Thank you very much, Peter. I look forward to having you back on again.
Yeah, thank you so much, and anytime.
Great. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for joining.
Bye-bye.
Bye.